What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today I'd like to talk about the recent article that ZOS put out discussing subclassing. And there is a lot of information here, so I'm going to link this down in the description if you'd like to read over for the entire article yourself, because it is a really good read. But the main thing I wanted to focus on was one of the devs talking about class identity and kind of the meta in general. So this is coming from, of course, the lead combat designer, Brian Wheeler. And kind of towards the end of the article, they started talking about more of meta and class identity. He went on to say, we know that the subclassing system will infuse power into the player community. For example, players can drop their tank and support skill lines for more damage dealing abilities and passives. However, there is a trade-off. By taking all damage skill lines, you are more reliant on your team for supporting, healing, shielding, and protection. Also, there is no desire to reduce the effectiveness of pure classes and their abilities to complete content. And overall, the system should make the content more accessible to all players. Also, he said class identity is still important for key aspects of the game. Achievement, class style, class scripts, class item sets, and so much more. If you wish to have 2 or more skill lines of a class, you must be that class. You can keep your character pure and continue to complete content as you have before, but you are still locked into that character creation decision. It says, in general, with more options comes more combinations, which can lead to different capabilities beyond what players had to the prior to the subclassing system. That's something we'll monitor while we're also looking for outlier combinations of abilities and item sets, so the game content isn't suddenly a lot easier to complete. We'll be looking at feedback as always, and we plan to make adjustments as needed after we go live. Now, of course, there's a lot to unpack there just from those couple comments. And like I said, this is a really long article. So first of all, I find it kind of interesting that they're talking about making the game too easy. I already made a video a few days back talking about how I would like to see some system added in that would allow you to change the world tiers, kind of like we have in Diablo, or something like that. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but something where you can make everything more difficult and you get better rewards, or you can leave it like it is and you get the same rewards as you do now. Something that would improve that. The only thing that I know a lot of people are going to say that kind of concerns them is looking at combinations of abilities and item sets. A lot of people are going to think, oh, they're going to nerf something. I don't necessarily think that is the case. We do know ZOS likes to change things, and that's just part of it. But they do listen to a lot of the community feedback. I know the community gives them a lot of flack sometimes for not listening to the feedback. But overall, they take a lot of the feedback. It may not be put into the game exactly like the community wants to see it, but they take a lot of that feedback, and we get some type of change implemented into the game based off that feedback. It may not be 100% to what everyone wanted, but it gets to be pretty close sometimes. So I'm hoping from that they're not looking at changing combinations and skills and abilities and gear for the worse, but actually for the better. I'm hoping they're thinking, all right, well, we have all of these abilities. We have all of these skill lines. If someone wants to stay true to their particular class they have made, so we'll just use a sorcerer or a warden, for example. They have made a warden. They've made a sorcerer. They don't want to go with subclassing. Well, let's give them some options to maybe, and people have already been discussing this, buffing just a true core class. Maybe it would be through the skills. Maybe it would be through the passives. Maybe it would be through past gear or future gear we have added to the game, to where if you're running just that sorcerer or that warden, there's a new gear set. If you're staying true to that, you're not using subclassing, that would actually benefit you for the better. It would give you more whatever you're looking for. Also, at the same time, you want to have subclassing be something that is really good to use as well. When it all kind of comes down to it in the end, I'm hoping that subclassing, and for people that don't want to use subclassing, that want to stay kind of true to that particular class they made, in the end, it evens out. I know it's not going to be like that to begin with. Subclassing is going to be a lot of fun to play with, I think. But after a few months, the worry that I think most of the community has is everything's going to be pushed into kind of a narrow, small thing, to where you're going to be using this skill line, this skill line, and this skill line, no matter if you're on a DPS, tank, or healer, because those are the best ones to use. They're better than the core class. and they're better than any other subclasses you can make, and that's what everybody's going to be using. In the end, and I know it's going to take a while, there's going to be a lot of updates and a lot of changes, and I hope ZOS continues to build upon this. That is the only really complaint I've ever had with ZOS is sometimes they add new things into the game, and they might tweak it here or there years down the road, but for the most part, it gets kind of left behind to the next new thing. It gets kind of put on the back burner. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with subclassing. I'm hoping moving forward, we can continue to add new things and change things and fix things within the game. But subclassing kind of stays at the core to where if you want to run subclassing and you want to make a character with all these different skill lines, you're more than welcome to do that. You can play, like they say, how you want. But also take that same notion of playing how you want and leave it there where the core classes are, where the people are wanting to just use those 3 basic skill lines from that particular class and give them a benefit and a reason to do so. Make them just as good as subclassing is. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It's probably going to be several updates from now, but I'm hoping that's kind of the situation we end up with. That way it is truly play like you want, however you want, with whatever character you want, because no matter if you're using subclassing or if you're using a base character skill lines, you're using just those core true skill lines to that class, you're still going to be able to perform just as well. Because in the end, yes, there's things in the game that gear-wise and skill-wise that are better than others. That's just obvious. I mean, that's how it is in any game, no matter what you play. There are things better than other things in the game. But at the same time, it does come down to player skill, and things like that are involved as well. If you get both of these ideas close enough in line to where subclassing or just straight class, your straight core class with the normal just baselines are close enough in performance as the other, then of course that's where player skill will come to come to light. Some players will be able to perform better with a subclass. Some players might be able to perform better with just a base class, with just its base 3 lines. So overall, I'm kind of hoping that's the point they get to. I am glad that they addressed it in this article. Like I said, it is a great article about just subclassing in general, kind of their thoughts on everything in it. But that is one part of it that I kind of wanted to talk about, because a lot of people, even myself, have been talking about class identity, the meta, everything going forward, and how this is going to affect the game. And I think at least they're already acknowledging that they know that this could be an issue, or it could be a good thing or a bad thing. We won't know until the update's out, on PC. And of course, a couple weeks later for someone like myself here on console. Once everyone's getting their hands on this update, they're playing, they're trying builds, they're trying stuff, they're going to be able to gather more data and kind of figure that out. But overall, at least they're already looking at possibilities of changing things. And I hope it's, like I said, for the better. And I hope it's something years down the road, we're still looking at subclassing as being a thing they continue to update. And they continue to also update the class with just your regular baselines instead of having to mix and match them if you want to use or just stay true to that particular class. Leave me a comment with your thoughts. Let me know if you've read this article yet, what you think about it. I thought it was a pretty good one. Let me know what you think about, of course, that class identity and how you would like to see that either implemented or changed in game. And of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.